record. And there we go. It's official. We've started.
Yay!
So I'm in not disbelief, but I'm surprised that you're in Chicago. I didn't realize you were in the States.
I'm surprised I'm in Chicago too, to be honest with you. I had no idea that I was going to end up in Chicago. None.
I actually, come to think of it, I think you told me about this before though, but
I don't think the last time I saw you, I was still living in Bali and I wasn't really sure about anything. I didn't know what was going on. I was in Indonesia. I was living between Indonesia and India for 9 years. And I remember one day I was kind of feeling as though like that chapter of my life was closing, as all chapters of our creation close and open and start and begin and end. And I would remember one day I woke up and my morning ritual was that I would take my harmonium and I would open all the doors. It was just wide open to the jungle, and I would just sing my mantras and be connected to nature. And I was sitting there and it was like literally this energy came. It was so intense. And it just said, your time here is done. Sell everything. You're going home. And I was like, whoa, okay. So I called my landlord and I said, listen, I'm leaving. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm leaving. So would you be interested to buy my furniture? So he bought everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he bought everything. And then I jumped on a plane and I thought I was moving to Los Angeles. And no, I'm from Michigan actually, but I lived in Los Angeles for many years. I had a pretty successful career as a hairstylist in Beverly Hills and, working with the celebs and stuff in another lifetime.
That's awesome.
So I thought I was moving back there because, living 9 years in Bali, I was like, all right, well, if I come back to the United States, I obviously have to start earning an income. And I have connections in Los Angeles. And so I went to Los Angeles and I had for around a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks. And I had like this really strong adverse reaction to being there. And so I was scheduled to come to Chicago because previous to this, I had done 2 world tours, singing kirtan and teaching, and it was wonderful and a really wonderful experience. And I know that I don't want to do that again. And so I called my friend who lives in the city of Chicago, and I called and I said, listen, I'm having a really adverse reaction to being in Los Angeles. I'm teaching and singing, but can I come early and stay with you for a couple of days and then I'll be off to teach and sing? She said, yeah, for sure. So I came, and then 2 days later I came to sing, and I was like, gosh, I really the energy just felt really interesting. Right. And I have to wait for always the message to come to know what I'm teaching about. And we're like 2 blocks from the center of this, I'm holding like a satsang and then a kirtan. I was like, okay, what am I teaching on? And then the message came that said, you'll teach on commitment. The level in which you commit is a level in which you're ready to receive. So I went in all the different angles of this with work, with relationships, with your word, with integrity, with showing up, with, all these different parts. And at the beginning, this man walks in and I was like, God, I know this person. And so he walked in, he goes, I'm so sorry that I'm late. And I said, it's totally fine. We're just getting started. I said, but I think I know you. He goes, so not from this lifetime. And we literally had 2 dates and then we're living together. And here I am in Chicago, as happy as can be.
Oh, what a great story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not surprising.
I think, as you know as well, when you're really in the divine flow, this is where, the human mind can really get out of the way, and then the miracles can happen. and like this is it will serve the greatest and highest good for you and all beings, and this is the magic. This is what I the big teaching that I received in living in India and Bali is this deep space to surrender and understanding that flow. I mean, at the end of my time in Bali, like I didn't have a concept of what day it was, what year it was. I didn't even know my age, nothing. It was just like, it was gone. And
Wow.
yeah, so I'm slowly starting to acclimate back into the Gregorian time watch and the time clock, but I have a great respect for the fluidity of not having that pressure of the time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously
Yeah.
I have to have some sort of connection to it because I work, as a coach, and I have to meet people like from different time zones, and it's important
Right.
that I'm on time.
Right. Right.
Gigs and all the important stuff.
When you talked about commitment, that's a really interesting topic for me. Having committed to something for such a long time and then decided that it was also time to leave. So I think kind of similar to, you probably committed to be living in Bali or committed to whatever you were doing, and then you were able to receive that message that it was time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think my first teaching of letting go of a certain construct or a path that served me was when I started my deep spiritual studies in India. I started studying under the wing of Sri Amma and Sri Bhagwan from the Oneness University, and my life
Oh,
literally be
where they do like the
the Diksha.
yeah, okay, I've
Yes,
done that. Yeah.
yeah, I loved it, and I loved it. I received so much from it. The foundation of who I am is that it's
Did
all the teachings.
Is that how I did it? Did I follow you to one of those in LA? Is that possible?
Probably, maybe.
It may have been.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It's all coming together. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's really interesting because I became such a disciple. Like I went to India so many times. I lived, breathed, and ate and slept for Sri Amma and Sri Bhagwan and the teachings. Like I started a center in Bali. I opened a temple. I like it was full on. Like I had people flying from like China to
You
come to these
opened
temples.
a temple?
I opened a temple.
Wow.
Yeah, with dark room chambers where people would go in and have like these profound healings. Like literally people were coming from all over the world to go through these chambers.
Wow.
Yeah. But, during the path, of course, I I fell into this big trap of like the spiritual hierarchy and the significance. And of course, when you hit that place of that hierarchy or that wanting, the craving of significance, well, the teachings really do end. It's you're looking for something, still outside of you to validate your happiness, to give you what you're looking for, and it's you're never going to find it. And so I realized that during the last course I went to in India was just after the kind of the turn where they claim is the birth of the golden age, it was December 21st, 2012. So I went to do seva, and I worked at the university for 1 month, and then I took the course after for 1 month. And it was grueling, but during the whole entire course, all I heard was make life your teacher, make life your teacher, make life your teacher. And I already kind of felt like this like the energy was already kind of pushing me out. And so finally I realized that I needed to reclaim my power. And the only way that I wouldn't be codependent on something outside of me to fulfill my growth and my evolution was that I needed to really look and find I had to really search and go through a lot of really trying experiences to really humble myself and come to that place of realizing the divinity in all of my sisters and brothers, and learn from these gifts that so many people around me carry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. So this was a major step. It was like kind of like I broke up with my family. So it was a very trying time, as you know, through your experiences as well. And I came out on the other end, and I'm filled with so much gratitude because of it, and I received what I needed to receive. And that was the life expectancy of that journey for me. And during that whole time too, this is where I discovered mantra. I was also invited to sing for every darshan. So in every course, there was around 1,800 people. I was the first woman invited to sing in the Hall of Awakening for 7,000 people. It was the most fantastic experience, and I let it all go because I needed to be sovereign
Mm-hmm.
and understand that it's like we're coming into this time right now of this sacred divine feminine, the rise, the balance, and we're coming into this, and I can't let anything or allow anything to control that
Yeah.
or alter the way that I'm moving in this very complicated reality.
Yeah. Wow. I was actually reminded when you were talking about the hair cutting that it's funny, like I loved you as a person when we met, when the first time you
I
were,
loved you as well.
yeah, but I could not get over the fact that you were a hairdresser, because I had this like preconceived notion that you should not cut your hair. Like,
Right.
do you know what I mean? It was like that. I think experiences like that led me to be like, well, wait, like how exactly is this helping me to be more myself? Or how exactly is this, leading me to a deeper sense of who I am, if like I have this hang up in connecting with another human being simply because they, choose something different than I do. Like it just didn't make any sense after a while, right? Um, but it's so cool that you reflected that for me, um and at that time. Did you know that you were a singer? Did that come from this experience?
When I first met, well, I mean, I've always sang. Like, I sang in the high school choir, I sang in the churches, like, but I never really took it seriously. And it wasn't until the end of my career in Hollywood, I was working on a television show with Courtney Cox, and I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. And I said, that's it. I'm flying to Bali. I'm going to go into a yoga immersion with Ashtanga. And I flew to Bali, and I called them and I said, hey, I've landed. I'm here. And they said, great. Tonight we have kirtan. I was like, what's kirtan? And I was like, all right, well, it sounds exotic. I have no idea what this is. I'm just going to go because it's a new experience. So I went, and I literally, I knew every single word. I knew every single word. It's like, I felt the meaning. I felt the vibration, and it was just like right then and there, I was just like, I was right on the path, and it never stopped. And then I got involved with a kirtan singer, who as well.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah. And so, I learned a lot through him because he's a natural born Sikh. And so I was trained and taught, through singing with him and yada, yada, yada. But then, yeah, everything has its course. So that's how it began. And then when we ended our relationship, I was just like, oh my gosh, I was heartbroken in so many ways. And I was like, god, what am I going to do? Like, I was always a supporting vocalist for this person, and now I have to figure things out on my own. And so then I was like, I'm just going to discover my own way. So then I started just really like, I was like, okay, so different mantras like really felt something, felt different for me. Like right now I'm composing a Durga chant. and I also am composing another a Kali chant.
Mm-hmm.
And they're traditional, like the Chamundaye Kalima Kalima, or Durige JJ Ma, Karuna Sagari Ma, like it's just different mantras, and then I just have a connection with them, and so now I'm finding my way. I'm slowly learning guitar. I'm
Oh, nice.
really, I don't know if I'm comfortable to play it live. I stumble a lot, but I hear melodies so well through the guitar. And
Mm-hmm.
then my main instrument, of course, is the harmonium, which I was raised playing the piano. I would love to actually. I know you play the keyboards, and the last time I sang with you, I was like looking. I was like, oh, I feel so inspired to get a keyboard.
I was playing keyboard, really.
Yeah, you were playing keyboard.
Like at Bhakti Fest?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I did that a couple of times. Yeah. I'm getting more into that now. But I've heard that guitar is like the hardest string instrument, or one of them. I mean, it's not an easy instrument. A lot of people play it, but it's like can go pretty high up
Yeah,
with the guitar.
I'm not planning on that. It's like being a tabla player. Like if you're a tabla player, you begin at the age of, newborn.
Mm-hmm.
From your first breath, hear your tabla, and you start playing, and you continue through your life, and then you become a master.
Yeah.
Like, I started really late, on the game, but I love it, and it's very soothing for me. But there's like I play with amazing guitar players, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish I could
Yeah.
play like you.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to commit my as many hours as it needs to really get to that level. I'm not willing to do that because I'm also a business person. I
Mm-hmm.
have multiple things that are going on, and I love that about myself. The creative, just how to balance. Like I changed from being a haircut to I changed it to a sacred hairstylist.
Mm-hmm.
So now when like people come for their haircuts, it's a sacred experience. Like I'll do sound healing at the shampoo bowl. I've got crystal bowls and tuning forks, and so they sit back and they get bathed. I do a scalp massage because I'm also initiated to transfer this powerful energy from India through my hands, and so they're getting all of this, and then the sound healing, and then I have my magical sprays and
Wow.
feathers. It's just
Now I wish
and
I were in Chicago.
I know. Well, come. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
gonna shrink
actually
your haircut.
I was in the process of organizing our first festival because we had a little kind of Bhakti fest here in the Midwest, and they discontinued it, and so I said, well, that can't happen, so I'm gonna organize something. So I started organizing, and then the pandemic hit, so we put that off. But next year maybe you should come and
Ooh,
sing.
oh, I'd love to. I've actually
Yeah.
never been to the Midwest, and that's something that's really been calling me. I just went to Idaho, which is not technically the Midwest, is it?
I am not even really sure,
Yeah,
to
I'm
be
not
honest with
sure.
you.
Anyway, apologies to anyone who knows listening, but
Yeah.
I realized I haven't ever gone like west, further west than that into the middle of the country, and Idaho was just so gorgeous. So yeah.
It's beautiful land, I tell you. I also ride a motorcycle, so we
Oh,
take motorcycle trips in the summertime, my fiance and I.
oh, wow.
So we take long trips. Like last year, we drove from Chicago to New York to go to ecstatic chant at Omega Institute.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was so epic. I mean, seriously. Okay, so the ride itself was just amazing, and then we land at Omega Institute, and like all these amazing bhakti yogis are singing the whole entire weekend, just one after the next.
It's a 24
So
hour thing, yeah? Or does it break?
no, they do break. They go pretty late.
Okay.
But most of us go to bed pretty
Yeah.
early.
Yeah. Or
We wake up really
at
early.
all. Yeah,
Yeah.
you you would miss something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that was great about that is that I was literally straight off the plane from Indonesia. So I'm like still culture shocked, like, you know, trying to find my way back into the American soil. And what was great about Omega is it's a very communal activity, that it's a like all the meals you eat together, it's farm fed.
Oh, wow.
You're sitting at round tables with people you don't know, so you really get to know a lot of different people. And then you're sitting together then during the kirtans, and then sometimes, you know, you have little breaks in the big gardens, and you're like, it was so wonderful. It was
Wow.
yeah, I'm really happy being back in the United States. I I really, you know, I really feel like that part of living in Bali and India was, it's a complete chapter. Like there's not one piece of me that, you know, craves to go back or misses it that I want to go back.
Hmm.
You know, one of my big things, and that I really live by and I truly believe in, is that all completions in my life need to end with love and gratitude.
Mm.
And so when I left Bali, I had a ceremony, you know, at the sacred temples. And, you know, I said, thank you for allowing me to be here. And, you know, and really closing that chapter clean. And like, there's nothing pulling me back.
Hmm. That's really
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So I've been really focused the last 2 years on building my business, and I'm doing sacred coaching as well. So spiritual coaching, life mentoring. You know, I take people on 1 year mentorships. And, you know, for people that start at the beginning, I start them off with 10 sessions just to make sure our energies are aligned.
Uh-huh.
But people are really benefiting from the work that I'm offering. It's really amazing. I have one of my clients, he's lost now. He's lost 33 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's in his 60s, and he's basically like, we've done a whole remodel of his life,
Oh,
from the minute he wakes up to starting meditation and drinking water and eating differently. And like, it's really great. And it's independent, so he doesn't need to have a gym membership. He doesn't need to do anything. He's learning again this new way. And then now I'm introducing mantra to him. Oh, bless you.
muting myself. Sneezing.
Yes.
That's lovely. So it's like kind of an all around coaching. It's not just a sort of how'd you say, it has to do with habits and
You know,
eating and things like that,
I
or
work in all different dimensions, just because my spiritual evolution was very, very intense. And I must have had some serious karma from another life that I needed to learn. And so it was really, really, really intense. So I base my work on all direct experiences, plus the teachings of the Oneness University. But I work with like young teenagers who are suffering with depression, all the way to, you know, CEOs of company to reestablish or redesign their companies, but from a spiritual foundation,
uh-huh.
because I have a business background as well. So looking at like the new paradigm ways of how to be a leader within the company, and how to communicate within the company, and structure and finances, and like all, like it's pretty broad. It's amazing. So I deal with you know, I work with conscious conception, um conscious completions. Yeah, it's really what people are really needing in that very moment.
Yeah.
So it's
So
broad.
it's like it sounds like it's more catered to the individual as opposed to like a set sort of thing that you offer, or
Yeah, it's nothing to do with anything set.
oh, cool.
It's very, very, I really believe in direct experiences. I believe in actual, like, what's going on, because I'm following, I'm a pretty much, I could say that I'm a master of unconscious programs. So I'm following the unconscious programs, and I'm watching them. And then what we do is I take them through, you know, whatever they're going through, I'll take them through a process of tracking it back to try to find the origin of where the program began. Like I was working with one of my clients from France this last week, and she was able to track one of these programs that's been creating a lot of suffering in her reality. She was able to track it back to when she was born.
Hmm.
And then she was able to express tears and the anger, and she felt that, and there was this release, this energetic release. And I'm excited to see now what if we really completed it, because it'll show up again if it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But then we know where to start going and going in for the excavation. So it's like I'm a gardener going in and like tearing out the roots of things unconscious programs. So yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's just like my major passion right now. A
That's
major
so
passion.
cool. So,
Yeah.
and it lends itself to this time period perfectly, because I assume you can do most of this online.
I work with all my clients online. I don't see anybody actually anymore in person. What I found through the pandemic and being housebound for so
Mm-hmm.
long was that my energy work, working one-on-one with somebody via, online, was much more potent, because I'm also like a lightning rod. So I'm very, very sensitive, and I can feel things. I don't pick up anything, and I don't let any, I know what belongs to me and what
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. But there's something that keeps me very clean and clear, and I'm able to access into the unconscious parallels really clearly as being online, because I'm not in someone else's energy field.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think for the other person too, I mean, there is something really nice about just being in your own space and you being in your own space.
Absolutely.
It's such a nice perk of this time.
Right. And I can
Yeah.
work with, like, I have a client in France, I have a client in Portland, like I have clients all over the world that, that now can have the accessibility to work with me. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to leave their home. They don't have to drive here. It's like going for a massage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go for a massage, you have to drive there, and then you're stressed out by the time you get there, and you're like, you get a massage. And then you're like,
And then you have to
oh, I'm
drive
so relaxed. You're like, oh shit, no, I have to drive home.
back. Which is why I feel like personally the only way to do a massage is either have someone come to your house or go to a day spa and spend the entire day
Yeah.
there.
Well, when you come, we can go to the King Spa. It's a
Is it?
Korean spa. Oh, it's amazing. It's
You have
amazing.
Korean spas. Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. I miss
Yeah.
those from that is one thing that I really do miss from being in LA are the Korean spas. Did you
Where are you
do that?
living now?
Washington.
Washington State?
Uh-huh.
Oh, how amazing. I actually sang in Seattle.
Oh,
I
cool.
loved it.
I really love it. Yeah. And it's so funny because my mom is from here. She's from here and Idaho, and I've never been to either place. I've just been to both. I sort of feel like I'm retracing my mother's history and kind of it's sort of I kind of don't have the words for it yet, but it's almost like a a healing of the past, not my past, but like sort of generationally. Like there was a lot of um, unresolved stuff that happened
Hmm.
family wise, and it's just yeah, but that's not why I ended up here. Like I ended up here because my relationship pulled me here that I'm in right now,
Hmm.
because my partner's from, well, not from here, but he lives here, and I happen to be here, and I'm like, wow, this feels real. It feels like home. It feels really good. Weather wise too. I feel very in my element here.
So are you in Seattle?
I'm just outside of Seattle in a town called Redmond.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The hiking there is, oh my gosh, the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest. It's a stunning place. It really captured my heart when I was there. I
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah.
I really love it. One
Yeah.
of the Oh, go ahead.
I was just to say there's a really, really nice Sangha. There's a community there that's really super connected.
I'd love to meet them.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. I can connect you to some people there.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah. I see that in my future, connecting with people, but because of I've been here sort of during the whole COVID thing. Like I moved here in December and didn't
Okay.
really get, established. And then,
Mm.
yeah. So I've mostly known it through the nature and communicating to people through the internet. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll connect you with the person who organized my events there.
Oh,
And
that would be lovely.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it'd be such a blessing to have your voice shine there.
I would love to
Yeah.
collaborate with people too, because it's nice to be
Oh, I
musicians.
collaborated this one time, well, with a tabla player and a sarod player.
Oh wow.
Oh my gosh. It was I like the words couldn't come out, that I was just like, ah. It's because it's one thing to be in India, right? Because you hear these sarod players and you hear these tabla players, but these instruments get into the hands of a Western person, and they have their Western way to move and play those instruments, I don't there's something that resonates so deeply inside of me that I can actually sing with. I
Mhm.
can be with, I can play with. I played with really, really talented musicians from India, and they're also really great, but they're very strict.
Mhm.
They're very strict with the timing, and it's just like this. It's like, I think they were born with a stick in their hands.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they were probably beaten while they were while they were practicing, right? Like not that way.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really nice. I'm interested. I haven't yet even really found my sangat here in Illinois yet.
Mhm.
But I believe that it will. I believe that it will. We're gonna, start this planning of the festival for next summer, and I have some stuff that I've already booked coming up, and I know, of course, things, are sessions can't be big, with
Yeah.
numbers, but it's okay. I really like smaller, intimate circles too, where it's really heart centered, and you can really connect energetically with everyone in the room. There's something really
Mhm.
special about that as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is Illinois um been have they been pretty strict about the quarantine? 'Cause like when I was in Idaho, it was sort of like nothing had happened. I'm just curious if
Oh yeah, it was very strict
it's
here.
very strict. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, when I was in
Yeah,
Idaho, it was like, what coronavirus? I mean, there
I
were
know.
signs and stuff, but just people didn't seem to be taking it that seriously. And also it was like you live 10 miles from your neighbor anyway, so I could sort of understand how psychologically it might not seem as pressing for them
Yeah.
to isolate. But yeah.
I mean, there's so many different theories right now, like with Scandinavia, Sweden, having
Yeah.
the herd
Yeah,
mentality. And
yeah.
I've been kind of keeping my eye on them, and their numbers aren't so different than
Yeah.
ours, and then
Yeah.
having to go in quarantine for so many months. I mean, for me, quarantine was great. I was so creative. It was amazing. Like at first, I was really bummed because I just released my album, and I was like, "Oh, yay! I'm gonna meet some people and sing, and be able to share this time with people." And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you're on lockdown until
Yeah.
further notice. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So I tore down my website. I redid my website. I redid my business cards. I did a whole like business, strategy. I did my SEO, like, and then I started to compose some music, and I started dabbling with like um doing the sessions every day, like offering a little piece of that. But then I was like, it just didn't feel authentic to me.
Hmm.
Felt like I was trying to chase after something that I just it didn't sit with me. So I said, forget about it. I said, I'm gonna just focus on what I need to focus on, because I'm also currently I started writing a book as well.
Oh, cool.
So I'll be sharing that. So I'm going to be probably launching that this coming year, hopefully, with an audio book and then a hard or soft cover book. So
Cool. So you've done some stuff.
Yeah,
A little bit.
that's one thing about me. Ayurvedically, I'm a pitta, so I'm like, I get things done. When I set my mind to something, I do it. And if I'm so deeply rooted in my level of commitment. If I say yes to something, that I have to do it, right? I can't change my mind and say, oh, I've changed, no, I can't do that. It's just not the way I function.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important to have that level of integrity. And that is something that's going to be moving forward in the new paradigm, is that space of, having integrity with your
Mm-hmm.
word.
Mm-hmm. What's your book about?
This book is going to be about the teachings. So, like, example, the energy, it's all about energetic vibration. So, because I believe that everything in our reality holds a frequency and a vibration, like mantra, right? There's a specific frequency that we're transmitting when we're singing, whether it's, Kundalini mantras or Sanskrit mantras or Gurubani mantras, like whatever that is, there's a specific frequency. And so there's also, because everything is the Om, or the primordial sound of the universe, right? So that's including jealousy. So we talk about the energy of jealousy. What is jealousy? What is it to be jealous? How does it feel? What does it mean to be jealous? Like, what are the repercussions of being jealous? Gossip. Like, what is the energy of gossip? Like, what does it mean to gossip? Even when you say to someone, you're like, oh, how is so-and-so? And, that person's not there. There is that small little fragment of, speaking to something that's really not accurate and not known, because each moment is very specific. So I talk about that, and then I talk about your childhood traumas, and it's just going to be all about different types of energies, and what that means, and to recognize, like, if that's something that's actually currently active in your subconscious thought patterns. And if it is, then once you recognize it, the teaching to see is to be free. Once you see that something's there, then you start to recognize, like, oh, I'm doing this in this situation, and I'm doing it in this situation. I talk about different frequencies of verbal communication. An example is like, I have to go to work. When you say I have to go to work, is meaning that something is dominating over you, controlling your outcome. And so the different way to translate that information by staying in the highest frequency is to saying, I get to go to work. Therefore, you're choosing that. You're choosing your destiny. You're choosing that path. You're choosing that your whole entire journey. And so it's taking back the power that the old paradigm, the patriarchal lineage of the last few thousand years has programmed society to be and think that they need to follow in this sheep mentality. So rather than coming into that space and saying, like, okay, I want to, reclaim my power, it's really identifying, the verbs, so the adjectives, like, what are we using to tell our subconscious mind our worth? Where do we stand as far as, believing in ourselves, and do we love ourselves? I even, my client who lost 33 pounds, he was talking about, he's done some major life changes, and it's wonderful, and he's embracing it. And he goes, yeah, I don't even want to go through a drive-through. I said, well, let's just talk about that. I don't want to. Because the I don't want to is also still referring in your mind that something still has control over you. So therefore, it's creating failure before it actually really truly happens. So instead of saying, I don't even want to go through the drive-through, you change it to, I'm choosing to create a different lifestyle change for myself. And then all of a sudden it changes the whole vibrational frequency. And then all of a sudden your mind says, oh, I have freedom of choice. And then there's nothing to resist it. There's no ego battle between the mind and the action. It's so cool. It's absolutely amazing. And when people really get this, like I work with all my clients on the vibrational, the verbiage and the wording vibrationally, like, what does this mean? And then of course, then I start teaching them mantras, because mantras are also a great way to start pressurizing the subconscious mind to help in that process of like really attuning to a different frequency. So Om Namo Gurudev Namo is a specific frequency. Om Satchitananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma, that's a different frequency. So it's like, what are you attuning to? And everybody
I
has a
like that,
choice.
pressurize.
Yeah, pressurizing the subconscious thought forms, patterns, actually. Because every single human being we're just a walking set of programs. Everybody. We all were born with a specific program. We all were raised to two parents, whether, we were living with them our lives or not. We were born with the DNA of two people. And then we have a religious program. We have society programs. We have, school indoctrination. We have society programs. We have cultural programs. We have all these different programs that where we were raised, it really is, it's really quite dependent on what's actually running. And so we can never really assume we think we know what someone is feeling. So I always say to my clients, I said, if you notice, because we're tuning into a vibrational frequency, you wake up in the morning and you attune yourself. How am I feeling today? Do I feel any stress in my body? Do I have any tension in my body? Meditate with that. Like, feel your body. Know what belongs to you. Because, when you start going out into the world, all of a sudden something may happen and it'll trigger your subconscious thought forms. And all of a sudden you're like, you have this reaction. And then you have to understand how to recognize that, so you don't fall into playing into this loop of the destruction. And so then I offer techniques on how to recognize that and ground yourself and come back to realigning to your purpose in life.
Yeah, it feels to me, and once I got through kind of the initial, let's call it, resistance to the stay-at-home order, it really did feel to me like there was a massive restructuring that was taking place, about to take place. It was almost like a glitch in the system or something. Like, now you will all stop, or you will all go into high speed, because for some people it meant that they were working twice as hard, or they were losing their job or whatever. But it was like, it compelled everyone to like switch gears very, very quickly. And I find that it's been so, just for me personally, it's been so interesting to watch that restructuring take place, and to just the idea that you would, I don't know, be spending so much more time with your immediate family, or the people immediately close to you, and what that will bring up in you. Or like, we are now going to have an entire week where the only activity that we do outside of our house is go to the grocery store. It was just, it was like a whole new paradigm.
Yeah, I'm really interested. I'm interested to see what's going to shift as far as, business. And I'm interested to see, like, there's been many theories I've heard around, like the millennials, and even a little bit older than the millennials, like really discovering like the city life and isn't really all of what it's chalked up to be.
That was
right?
Another thing that I realized. Yeah.
And moving and actually taking communities to smaller towns and starting like these whole initiatives, but still holding like big city jobs, because everybody can work remotely now. I know there's so many different ideas, concepts, thoughts, that are still unknown, and they of course will reveal themselves in time. But I definitely think there's going to be a big insurgence of shift within certain specific brackets of ages.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was actually also right after all of the Yogi Bhajan stuff started to come out. So it was like this, there was the fall from grace of the spiritual teacher, I mean, at least in my community. And then, and then this whole thing. So it almost gave, for that community, it almost gave them time to sort of ease into it, because so many of those events would probably have been canceled anyway. But it was like there was another excuse for it. So everybody got to, that's what I observed. Everybody got to sort of, be part of the whole of cancellation, as opposed to like secluded in their cessation of normalcy.
Yeah. I mean, but we look at that, but then we also look at, like, Prem Baba, Mooji, John of God. We look at all these different teachers that, Mooji's still, holding on by some threads, but these other teachers, big major teachers, are being pulled off their throne. And then, of course, like, I love this Me Too movement. Like, I think this is changing life for all feminine gender, and even transgender, of all different types of genders, to feel safer and have, hopefully working towards equality, more towards equality. We'll see what happens. Right.
Yeah. You mentioned a few times about the return of the divine feminine. Is that an astrological prediction, or is that something you're feeling?
Well, that's what the golden age is. This is what the age of Aquarius is. It's the rebalancing of the feminine and the masculine.
No one told me that.
That's okay. I'm telling you now.
No, I'm just laughing because that's like what all Kundalini yoga is based on, right? Like the Aquarian age. I correct you. I don't know if people are going to email me about this later, but I never heard that it's the return of the divine feminine. Anyway, continue.
Well, I don't quote me on the Aquarian age, because I'm only very new as far as a teacher. Like, I've been studying Kundalini yoga for over 10 years, but I actually just got certified. Literally, we got certified, and on the day I got my certification, all of this news came out about Yogi Bhajan. I was like, oh God, I'm like, what am I going to do about this now? Like, how am I going to, tread in this water? Like, I spent thousands of dollars on this certification and flew from Chicago to Los Angeles 3 different times to do the certification. So I am teaching it, and I love the yoga. I'm just trying to, like, figure out, like, how do I process all this information? Because I do believe in the technology. I do believe that it works, and it like, there's. But my friend was also telling me about the what is it called? Shakti, tantric Shakti something Kundalini. It's the divine feminine of the Kundalini yoga. So basically, it's all the kriyas, but done through the Shakti, through the feminine. Oh. I know. It's from Nepal. It's the Himalayan teacher. So my friend teaches it. She's a teacher of teachers. So I was interested to maybe take her 500-hour teachers trainers. Not at this stage, but soon. I'm going to be teaching 100 hours of teaching of Bhakti yoga for her trainings. Yeah, so it'll be part of the certification process as well.
Oh. I interrupted you though. You were telling me about the divine feminine. I just thought that was funny because there's I felt that it was more masculine, that practice.
The practice, I would say, in the root of it, is quite masculine, right? There's a structure, there's a time, there's a process that's very masculine. It's a little controlled, right? There's not a fluidity in there. The feminine is more fluid. Okay. So this is where I'm learning how to be a little bit more fluid in the way that I'm transmitting this energy. So the golden age is this massive age that apparently happened. The birth happened on December 21st, 2012. We shifted from what's called the Kali Yuga age into the golden age. The Kali Yuga age is the age where man and God, spirit, divine, whatever you resonate with, they're the most separate. So this is where a lot of the patriarchal ways, the diminishing of the feminine, the subservience, the, you know, like we lost our power, we didn't have the right to vote, we didn't have the right for education. You know, if we were raped somewhere, it was our fault that we were raped because, you know, the way we looked or the way we presented ourselves. And the wars, the crimes, you know, all this stuff this is all Kali Yuga age, the gossip, the hurting of other people, you know, that's all Kali Yuga age. So when people kind of act out now in these weird ways, I'm like, oh, that's Kali Yuga behavior, you know? And so we're moving into the space of the golden age where they say man and God, divine spirit, whatever, will become one. And it's not meaning one where we're sitting around a campfire singing Kumbaya and everything is like, you know, unicorns and glitter. Like, no, we still have, there's still two sides to the coin. It's just that the like Malcolm Gladwell's theory, the tipping point, it's just that there will be a percentage of awakened consciousness that's going to slightly be higher than the unawakened consciousness. And then of course that is the dominant energy of the earth, and then more people will rise and come into their feminine, which is the yin and the yang, the Shiva, the Shakti, you know, the Sita, the Ram. You know, we have both sides to of the energy system that we're working on. So the feminine, of course, in the Kali Yuga age was, you know, we were pushed down. We lost our voices. And now women, through Me Too movements and all these amazing different things that are happening on the planet right now, the women are finally coming to this place where they're actually using their voice and they're saying, no, we're having enough.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many amazing spiritual teachers that are on the rise right now that are feminine, you know, that are really in integrity with their work and their teachings and the way that they respect the students that are with them, you know. And so the feminine is the, you know, the balance of Mother Earth, nature, you know, coming into that communion of really being connected to what is here. We're being provided for, an earth, the rivers, the water, our food, you know, the women are childbearing creatures. We give birth, you know this very well, you know, so it's finding that balance. And it's going to be interesting to watch how, you know, through the years to come, I'm going to be watching very closely like breast cancer and ovarian cancer and seeing how the shift, and I'm getting complete goosies all the way up my body, but seeing how that shift is perhaps going to decrease those numbers, which I'm really interested to watch and see. Science will show us.
Yeah. The Me Too hashtag was really beautiful because I think maybe not everyone realized who had an experience like that. And I would be willing to say most people didn't realize how prevalent it was, how many women were carrying these stories, or, you know, people too, because I know that it wasn't just women sharing, but that we carried these and we sort of assumed like that these were these one-off kind of bad experiences, quote unquote bad experiences that we had. But hearing, I mean, that was really powerful, hearing that these things had happened so many times to so many women. And it is sort of one of those things that it's sort of a self-silencing program, you know, that you don't know that other women are experiencing it. So you don't talk about it. You know, you keep it to yourself. It feels shameful, you know, and then the less people are talking about it, the more shameful it feels. And that was something that I noticed when people were starting to speak out about experiences that they had with Yogi Bhajan, is there had been a lot of people that left, but a lot of people who had stuck around, a lot of women who had stuck around and were carrying these stories and just sort of felt like they had to deal with it, you know, just bury it, not talk about it because it would sully the pool or something. So yeah, just speaking out, having voices. I mean,
it's very powerful, you know, just to say it out loud. I mean, for me, I look back at like my history of living in Los Angeles, before that, New York City, and really at this time, this is pre, any spiritual studies. This is Harmony and very old paradigm mentality. My way of thinking back then was I had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing or what I was manifesting into my own reality, because my own self-worth was
Mm.
attracting what I was energetically vibrating. Like,
Mhm.
I actually didn't know what love was from a man up until I had my major awakening process in India. I don't even know, 4 years ago. It was when that's when I really discovered that my programming of love was all based around abuse. So
Mm.
every relationship, every encounter that I had some form of abuse, and I thought that was love.
Mm.
So if I look back at it, I could say that I was abused sexually. I mean, I was molested as a child.
Mhm.
Um, and I look at different encounters that I had, and I didn't give people permission, not everybody, but it's not like I'm going to go and start dredging up the past, but I can realize that for my own growth and evolution, and then teach younger girls, a different way.
Yeah.
And this is something that I'm really passionate about with working with younger teenage girls, because teaching them what their worth is and how, when you present yourself. Like, when I was living in India, I had some students that kind of worked with me, and they, we met every day, and they used to call me Mataji. They said, Namaste Mataji. And, so that was who I was in India. And one of my students, she looked at me, she goes, Mataji, I really like the way that you dress. You always look very sophisticated. You look always very, very nice and clean. I said, well, what we're presenting to the outside world is what we're attracting. So I said, do I have problems here in India with men being inappropriate to me? No, because I'm holding a specific frequency inside of me that doesn't attract that any longer.
Mhm.
So, and you also have that sovereign right to also hold that energy.
Mhm.
So if you want to have that, then you need to understand that, as a young girl, you're very beautiful. You're very attractive. And if you're going to walk around, example, India, and have your cleavage showing and have, inappropriate body parts that are inappropriate in India showing, then you're going to attract these people with ill intentions.
Mhm.
So it's, just really feeling into like how you're showing up for yourself on all levels and projecting that. As we're trained through Kundalini yoga. It's like, it's all about projection. What are you projecting into your universe?
Mhm. I I find it interesting because certain spiritual traditions, a lot of spiritual traditions have this idea that you you bring in what you are putting out. I think that's, I mean, even like Scientology, for example, I got obsessed with Scientology. Um, but there's like this line where you can choose it to as an empowering way of looking at it, or sort of this victim shaming way of looking at it. And I mean, I can tell by the way that you're describing it that this realization for you is very empowering, because you were like, well, now I know how to kind of work with it, right? Whereas in some arenas, it might be seen, well, like, of course that happened to you because you did XYZ and you were projecting the wrong thing, that sort of thing. So,
Well, and that then falls into the category of the drama triangle.
oh,
You
I don't know
know,
about that. Tell me about that.
so there's a victim, a perpetrator, and a savior. So
Mm-hmm.
when you fall into the victim mentality of like, oh, poor me, like, that energy becomes something, and then you're going to attract the victim and you're going to attract the perpetrator, and that then will
Mm-hmm.
spiral. And when that spirals and that turns, it creates power, it creates momentum, And then it becomes this thing. It's like, and it sucks in the energy. It's like an attraction towards more of whatever you're needing. And then you get stuck in there. There's so many people that are still stuck in this drama triangle. Yeah. It's really empowering to step out of it, but it takes it. I didn't realize that I was even in it until I remember I was sitting in Bali one day, and I was in the midst of like this storm of chaos in my own reality. Like, my relationships were chaotic. It was just mad in my reality. And I kept toying with this, like, stepping out of this drama triangle. And, I was practicing in so many different situations. And then I had an encounter with somebody, and we had some really strong verbal communication towards one another. And this person left my home, and I sat there, and I was like, I started to cry. And I said, and the divine spirit says, oh, wait a second here now. You have two choices. And I was like, okay, what are my choices? Okay, the first choice is you can take this personally and make it your problem and become the victim, or you can remove yourself and hold a space of compassion because you don't understand what that person is actually really truly going through, and step out of it completely. And I stepped out of it completely that day, and that was the end of it for me. Hopefully. I don't take anything like, I don't take it for granted. I practice a lot.
Right. Well, there's always more opportunities to make more choices.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I tell all my students this, I said, no matter what I do, like what I teach you, I'm always in meditation with it. I'm always practicing. I'm always watching. I'm always in complete awareness around everything that I'm doing, saying, being, acting, choosing. Like I'm watching this, because this is all a storyboard for me, like really what's going on in my matrix. And it'll always be there, right? But it's just like, how do we want to play the game? So I'm going to move my chess piece over here, and like, all right, we're going to have this experience now. And it's really wonderful. Life is a very interesting process. And it's, for a lot of people, there's a lot of suffering. And I really, I know what it's like. I've really been there, and I'm sure you've been there as well. And it's hard to be there. Yeah. And those are the moments that, I say to everyone, it's like, these are the moments where you really need to look inside your toolbox and either dig into your studies with your own practice, or you need to ask for help. And don't be ashamed to ask for help. I spoke to one of my clients today who started working with her when she was 15 at the time, suffering with severe depression on antidepressants. Within, I think, 3 sessions working with me, she was completely off of her medications. And today she's just thriving. Like, it's incredible how much she's grown in not even a year of working. Wow. So there's potential for everybody to experience that. I really believe that. I believe that our natural human sovereign experience that we are all entitled to is the experience of love, and to receive love, and to be loved, and to love yourself. This is our natural human born right. And so we just have to work for it.
Yeah.
We're human. I mean, I could get into the whole process, the birthing process. The first 7 hours of your life, you're completely enlightened. You know everything. And then the human amnesic experience sets in. And this is where the journey of your soul's karmic experience begins. And you forget, and then you have to relearn. You have to unlearn to relearn.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Aw. Well, thank you so much, Harmony, for being here and for doing this with me. I
You're
want you
so
to
welcome.
share how people can interact with you, how they can find out more about your coaching and your music and all that.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, you can go to my brand new website,
That I
Harmony
have made
Polo,
during my time.
during quarantine. I didn't make it. I hired somebody that's
Okay.
professional. I just had direction. I'm good at delegating. I'm a business owner, so I'm really good at directing. So Harmony Polo, POLO.com.
Cool. I will
And you
add
find
that to the
everything there.
podcast notes so that people can
Thank you
click on that.
so Thank you so much. It's really so nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. Yeah.
It's so interesting how our realities have just been weaving in and out, through all these years. I mean, I met you pre-kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Pre-marriage. Yeah.
Pre-marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now after marriage, I'm
Yes.
I've gone through a whole cycle myself. I actually did you play in Phoenix at some point?
I did.
Okay, because somebody asked me about you. There, they were like, "Have you heard of Harmony?" And so I
You're
was
like,
like, "It can't be."
yes, I love Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix was great. I really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, it was definitely right for the season. But yeah.
Yeah, I also played a lot in Las Vegas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Las Vegas has an incredible community.
Do you know Ashley Wynn?
I know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know her personally, but
Yeah,
I know her. She's one of my social media friends.
I see. Okay.
She's friends of friends too. So, yeah, I do know who she is. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I should have an opportunity to go sing there too. I could connect you with one of my friends who organizes really great events there.
Oh, thank you. I'd love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You have such a beautiful voice. I've been listening to your music all week.
Thank you. You
I
do.
love
You have such a gorgeous voice. I couldn't believe when you sent me your your website. I was like, wait, what? Because I didn't even know you were a singer. I mean, I heard you sing with with Punu, but I didn't realize to what extent. So yeah.
Well, and even when I was singing with Puno, I wasn't such a developed singer. Like I was singing, but see the difference now is I don't sing the song, I let the song sing through me.
Mm.
So there's a different vibration that the mantras have, like I have to have a connection to them. And the spirit came to me and said, you're not allowed to sing for anybody. I was like, wait a second, that's really confusing. Like, I'm not allowed to sing for anybody, but I'm going on tour. Like, and the spirit said, no, 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 you're allowed to sing for me, and
Mm.
everybody can enjoy that
Mm.
process with you. But you sing to me, and when you sing to me, the channel will come through you.
Mhm. That makes
And
sense.
anytime is so interesting because anytime I feel like that little ego slip in at all, like I feel the energies go.
Yeah. I
So
had
I just have to close my eyes.
Yeah. No, I had this whole period in college where I would get like stage fright. It was really weird. It never happened to me in my life because I've sung my entire life. But I was so nervous about what people were going to think of my voice that I could not sing. It was
Hmm.
really weird. So the mantra singing actually really helped because it's almost built in. I mean, you realize when you're singing it that it's not really you
Yeah. And before we go, I mean, like, what's going on with
know.
your music career?
Yeah,
Because
I can stop the recording and here, wait, let's